All right. So format's going to be slightly different for the Thursday episode of Weekly Weeb. I just got a bunch of computer parts in, so I'm going to be tearing my computer apart in about like 5 minutes to install a new CPU and a new motherboard. But there are two stories that I really, really want to talk about today. The first one is the fact that Epic CEO essentially calls Gabe Newell and Steam a bunch of assholes for their more or less their fees and their business practices. And also in regards to the Epic Store, I really want to talk about Deus Ex Mankind Divided because it is currently free on the Epic Store right now, but I really want to talk about this game because I feel as though it should have gotten way more traction and should be a whole lot bigger than it actually ended up being. But in regards to the discussion between the CEO of Epic and Gabe Newell and Steam. For those of you who don't know, Steam takes 30% off the top. Like, if your game costs $60, Steam takes 30% of that. But to make things a lot easier, once I talk about the things that the head of E Epic basically said, Tim Sweeney is the head of Epic, and in the now leaked emails, he talks about how Steam basically gouges people the way in which retail used to gouge people back in the 90s. If you had to subtract out the top 25 games on Steam, I bet Valve made more profit from most of the next 1,000 than the developer made themselves. These guys are our engine customers, and we talk to them all the time. Valve takes 30% for distribution, and they have to spend 30% on Facebook, Google, Twitter, user acquisition, or traditional marketing, 10% on the server, 5% on the engine. So the game takes 75%. That leaves 25% for them to actually create the game. Worse than retail distribution economics of the 1990s. Now, what is he talking about? Let's simplify that. So if you created a game that costs $100, right? Suicide Squad Killer Justice League, and you put that game on Steam, Steam takes 30%. So right off the top, Steam takes 30%. If your game is a game that requires servers or has an online function, maintaining that server will cost you another 10 to 15% of your overall net that you're going to be bringing in. So right there, off the bat, out of that $100, you've already lost 45. Now, on top of that, depending on the game engine that you choose to go to, game engine can be anywhere from 5% all the way up to 15% if they choose to gouge you. But for the most part, there are a lot of really small indie people who use free open platform engines in order to create their game. Don't have to worry about that. But let's say that you have an engine like um, why is it that anytime I want to actually reference something, Unity, uh, why the hell am I forgetting all the names of different game engines? Unity, Snowdrop, the one that EA uses for Battlefront, the one from Epic themselves, whose name is it's Unreal. Jesus fucking Christ. Or the Unreal Engine. You have to pay back a certain amount of money to the makers of the engine for using their tools to create your game. So right then and there, that's another 5 to 10%. So you're already up to 55%. Now, on top of that, you also have to market your game, which means putting your game on multiple different platforms to drive awareness. TikTok ads, Facebook ads, Twitter ads, Instagram ads. That can be anywhere from 0% if you choose not to market your game and you choose to go the route of word of mouth. Although I have to say that in today's environment, if you have a very very good social media following of at least 1,000 people, you're able to gain traction really 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 quickly in the social media space by putting your content on, let's say, TikTok. If you look at gamers like Helldivers did have marketing, yes, but a lot of what drove Helldivers to become as big as it was essentially the marketing practices of well, not the marketing practices, but the social media aspect of TikTok, where it went viral on TikTok, multiple different people playing the game, and then off of that, it made the jump over to Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all these different platforms and became as big as it did. But right then and there, you're already at 75%. So out of $100, you spend $75 on servers, having Steam host your game, marketing, and paying for the engine that you're using for your game, which means you're making $25 out of every $100 that your game essentially makes. Now, on top of that, if you are a small indie studio, out of that $25, you probably have to take 15 10 to $15 to pay your employees. A lot of these smaller companies are really working on the idea that we're going to be able to pay you the money that you earned once the game starts generating a profit. If your game doesn't generate profit, then it's a net loss. You're not really going to be able to pay your employees, or it's going to be a delay in you paying your employees, and you have to basically either lay them off or shut down the studio. So essentially, the big deal that Sweeney has is the fact that Steam, as the monopoly, as the biggest retail, it basically is a retail store, as the biggest digital store, digital platform on PC, really has been fucking their customers in the ass, or at least the publishers, especially the smaller publishers, in the ass for a really long time. An argument was it was understandable early on because you were the only person in the space. It was your servers that were hosting these games, allowing people to download them. uh you weren't as big then as you are now, but now still maintaining that 30% is really fucking up the way in which a lot of these smaller developers essentially make money, and it kind of sort of pushes a lot of them out of the space because it's either you spend no time whatsoever in the creation of your game, and by that I mean you're a one man show. You don't have to worry about paying staff. You produce the entire game by yourself. You really didn't do any marketing. You just created something, put it out there, and it blew up, and you make a ton of money. Or you're a small indie studio with like 10, 15 employees all working towards something, and you're watching Valve essentially take these these major profits. But fellow excerpts from excerpt, I can't speak. A timely move by Valve to improve Steam economics for all developers would make a great difference in all of this, clearly demonstrating the store competition leads to better rates for all developers. Epic would gladly speak in support of such a move anytime. Right now, you assholes are telling the world that the strong and powerful get special terms, while 30% for the little people. We are all in a prolonged battle if Apple tries to keep their monopoly, and 30% by cutting backroom deals with big publishers to keep them quiet. Why not give all developers a better deal? What's better way is there to convince Apple quickly that their model is now totally untenable? Yeah, he's absolutely correct. Um Out of all of the major studios that have essentially come out in the last 10, 15 years, so we've had Ubisoft Connect, we've had EA with Origin, of course we had Steam, we had the Epic Game Store. Green Man Gaming kind of does something along those lines, but not really, since you can just go to them, use the code, and download the game directly from their servers. You really don't have to sign up for, or should I say, like once you get the game, they can give you a code that you can take back to another source and use it over there. You don't really have to install their platform in order to run it in the background in order to play the game. Battle.net for Blizzard, all of these different stores that essentially popped up over the last 15 years, attempting to basically take their piece of the pie. And we've essentially seen a bunch of those stores die. We've seen EA pull the vast majority of their games from the Microsoft Store, the PlayStation Store, Steam, and all of these other platforms and move it over to Origin, only to have Origin not get the traction that they thought it was going to get and crash, burn, and essentially die, and having them revert and send a whole lot of their games right back to a ton of these digital stores. We've seen that also with Ubisoft Connect, where what was it before? Before it was Ubisoft Connect, I believe it was Uplay, where Uplay essentially moved a lot of the franchises from Steam. And mind you, when I say the Microsoft Store, I'm not talking about on an Xbox. I'm talking about on a PC. I misspoke in regards to PlayStation, but we saw Ubisoft take a lot of their games from off of these PC stores and place them only in Uplay, which is now Ubisoft Connect, and have it not gain the traction and not gain the sales that they expected it was going to get, and then having them revert that and send a whole lot of those games back to those other platforms to begin getting some type of revenue from their games as well. Right now, I think I can honestly say the only two big players in the space are Valve and Epic. And I have to say that I think Epic is definitely doing it better. Epic has strike the perfect balance between being the Xbox marketplace and also Steam. Now, of course, there is the Xbox marketplace on PC. I think that is doing a fantastic job. I think that what is it called? What is that gaming? Hold on. I'm actually going to have to launch Xbox here because I've completely forgotten what the name of the service itself is called. Game Pass. Jesus Christ, that was so difficult to remember. I think that Game Pass is a fantastic system. The way in which it's set up, the way in which it actually helps a lot of the smaller developers. For those of you who don't know, a lot of the times, I'm going to use Sea of Thieves as an example. A lot of the times, games like Sea of Thieves will show up on Game Pass for free, and then you will have people that will go out and purchase the game, like give money in purchasing the game on a different platform, or basically go into the Xbox marketplace and actually spend money on the game. I think it was the CEO of uh, Sea of Thieves that said that 45% of their revenue came from people who played Sea of Thieves for free on Game Pass and then went back into the Xbox marketplace and actually purchased the game for themselves. Because a lot of people like me don't like if I have to cancel Game Pass, losing access to a lot of the games that I'm actually enjoying. Having that backup of me not paying for Game Pass this month because nothing new is coming out, and then still having access to a game that I really, really love and really enjoy is actually a path that a lot of people are in the same mindset that they like to take. But yeah, no, I 100% agree with Tim Sweeney in regards to the way in which Steam basically does business. It's scummy, and it does take advantage of the smaller developers in a really fucked up way. And he's right; they do cut backroom deals with larger publishers where they don't take as big of a piece of the pie because that publisher may just choose to just pay them a big lump sum up front, which a lot of the smaller developers really don't have the ability to do. But moving on, because we are going to stay inside of the Epic Game Store, there is a video game that I wanted to talk about in regards to Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Now, for a lot of people who do not know, Deus Ex Mankind Divided is the sequel to Deus Ex Human Revolution. And both of these games came out way back. Um 2016. Good God. And it still looks, in my opinion, absolutely fucking fantastic. For people that really love Cyberpunk, and you want more from hacking, and if you feel as though when you played Cyberpunk there wasn't enough emphasis on hacking and gaining access and just controlling your environment in the world around you, and the craziness for how you can mod and kit yourself in order to become a machine god, that was Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I know that it did not catch on the way in which Cyberpunk did. I really hope that it being free will bring in a whole new host of fans that are able to sit down and, in all honesty, enjoy the game, because the game was indeed fantastic. The story that the games tell is really great about bridging the gap between both human and machine, but then at the exact same time becoming so reliant on machine that you may end up losing yourself, where there are more people moving towards the cybernetic than the real, and then trying to find like that balance. Great. It tells a fantastic story in regards to that. And like I said, combat's great. The hacking is great. It has a really, really good stealth mechanic that feels a lot more like a Ubisoft Tom Clancy game. It feels a lot more like Splinter Cell. The multiple different ways that you can take down enemies inside of an environment really feels like something pulled from Batman Arkham City. That game is good. It definitely deserves way more love and way more attention than it got. We are sadly probably never going to receive a third game. This game was made back when Square Enix and what was the name of that game studio? That game studio was called is it on here? IDOS? I think it's IDOS Montreal are the ones who made. Yeah, I want to say it's IDOS Montreal. There used to be two studios that were together, which was Square Enix and IDOS. They were merged. They were merged for I think 5 or 6 years. During that merger, it's what led to the second new Tomb Raider game, the third Tomb Raider game, Deus Ex, Human Revolution, Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and there were like one or two other games that were also made under that Square Enix IDOS banner. In recent years, Square Enix has essentially sold off the IDOS portion of their company, which I think also included Deus Ex, which in my opinion was a horrible idea. But yeah, no, if you have some free time, you're looking for a really, really good cyberpunk game to be able to sit down and play and enjoy that tells a really, really good story, go check out Deus Ex Mankind Divided. Like I said, it is on the Epic Store. It is really, really good. You are going to enjoy it. And that's basically it. If you reach the end of the video, thank you for watching. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're on our way to taking over world domination, baby. We're on our way there. But I will catch you in the next one. Peace.